Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name's David and this is my channel. Today, straight out of the gate, right? You are God individualized. This is really important because if we look at kind of what happened, and for me personally, I love moving in the direction of what flows, and boy, I have a lot of momentum that moves in that direction. But I also, without saying I study the ego, I just kind of pay attention a little bit and find out what I need to let go of. So I kind of do a little bit of both of these ideas for my self-realization here. So talk about a little bit of the contrast between this two. The Course in Miracles, Jesus does this a lot too. He compares them a little bit so that way you can see what's not working, so that way it will, motivate us to move in this direction. So God individualized. Well, what has happened is that we are one perspective, one really amazing perspective, permanent perspective of love. God is love, and Jesus said, "Love your neighbor as you love yourself," and that you are that of love, and the kingdom lies within you. There's this consistent idea of one perspective that we all kind of are, we all share. Now that one perspective will match that of the total perspective of consciousness itself. Consciousness is love. It knows only to flow. It knows only to experience itself in a joyful manner, in a fun manner, to love the pieces of itself. Do you see? This is truth. This is the truth, the blanket truth. However, there is another idea out there that the pieces do not love each other, and they fight with each other, and they don't like each other, and so forth and so on. So now we have kind of two different truths. If we look at this one blanket consciousness just through faith, which is what Jesus was trying to say, is that all in all, the way, which is what he taught, was that there is only love, there is only flow, there's only coming together, there's only joy, there's only happiness. It's like a piano. You don't hold out the keys, you bring them together to create beautiful music, just like an orchestra, each one individually coming together to celebrate and to come collectively together for the whole perspective of the music. So you can see this consistent idea going on in this world of this connection of the pieces coming together to create perfect harmony, beautiful, lovely motions and movements and music, and even my martial arts, all of it comes together to flow as one. Can you see? So there is this consistent idea of all of us coming together, and that idea of collective consciousness, and the only way to bring something together is through love, through enjoyment, through having peace with each other. Do you see? There's an agreement that will happen collectively. Now, what's happened is that one perspective of each one of us that is perfect and loving and beautiful then moves out into the world, and it comes out through the perspective of what we would call the ego, or the separate consciousness that we have created. For whatever reason, we have this mind, as part of our mind, that wants to see everything separate. It thinks in terms of fight or flight, and it thinks in terms of separation or fear or worry or doubt, and so forth and so on. So it kind of gets filtered through that part of us with these belief systems that we have inherited of separation. And now as it goes out, where it's supposed to go out of us from one perspective of love, and then all the pieces come together in our life through one synchronicity, and everything we experience, all the pieces of God itself, the collective consciousness of God, comes back to this individualized consciousness of God, and we all flow together. But instead, through filtering through this ego perspective of separation, it comes back in the form of many, many, many different perspectives. You see? And that gives birth to different personalities, different meanings, one rock being different than the other rock, and, one being different than this. And you have to kind of ponder that. How many perspectives are coming back to you on a regular basis? This is because it's filtering through that ego consciousness that is inside you. It will continue to come back from a place of separation. And then now you'll have this potential push that can come to you, and disagreements, and which could lead to war, and it can lead to anger and lashing out and using a body to try to hurt someone where souls only know to come together. Now they can use a body to try to hurt each other and so forth and so on. We're eternal souls, but we can use these mechanisms, we can use these vessels to try to hurt one another because of this ego consciousness that is consistently coming back in the form of separation. So now we have a lot of resistance that are coming back to us because of this filter. What they say, the veil, right? We're filtering through this veil of separation. It's coming back to in the form of many, many, many different sources, and then we argue and fight and so forth and so on. Does that make sense? So now this individualized part of God that we all are is coming back in the form of many, 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 many different personalities and sources out there. And that's going to cause a lot of commotion inside of us because guess what? What goes out must come back. It comes out through a veil. Imagine one source coming through a veil, splitting it into many different separate ones, and then coming back in the form of all those separate sources back, and it has to come back to us. And this keeps our mind full of many different personalities, many different ideas, problems. I mean, you could write a whole book on all the different separate things you got going on in your life. Does that make sense? And they don't seem to match. They don't seem to find a commonality. It's like many keys on the keyboard, but they can't play music anymore. They're all separate. Does that make sense? You are God. Each one of us. There's no God out there. You are the individuated form of God in action. It's just that ego filter that's making it not seem so. So the journey becomes, we got to take all those separate sources that they don't live out there. They come back to you. They come from you, back to you, from you, back to you. And we got to find a way to bring them all together so we can play music. You see, you got to find some kind of commonality with all your different personalities and all your different sources that you have created in your life. Do you see? And that's the journey. That's the journey. And the only way to do that is, one, stop filtering it through this ego veil. That's what we talk about, lifting the veil. We have to recognize it is all one. It is all one. And so we stop filtering it through that part. That's what I was saying in the last video, is understand there's another perspective. Let go of that perspective. And then now find that one true perspective of who you are permanently. And then, as Abraham Hicks would say, you don't have to get too specific. Be broad and be general with it. Love and flow and good and joy, all positive emotions. This is why it's so important to understand that positivity has to be the only way. We let go of all negativity. We let go of all darkness, and we shine only the light. Jesus said you put a bushel or a barrel over the light. What was he talking about? Because it comes through, do you see, in many different rays, not as one. So it separates it. Does that make sense? So that's what's happened. We have to lift that barrel by finding a commonality that brings us all back together. And what brings us back together? Then setting the intention in the moment to find that which is good in everything. This is the key. Anytime something comes back that tells you it's not good, stop. Don't search for the answer. It's so important. I've learned in my life, stop going this way. You have to turn around and go the opposite way. This is what makes it so difficult, is that we've got to get back into the moment. Remember the 4 steps, right? I recognize that things are separate. I recognize it because I feel guilt or I feel blame. I feel some kind of negative emotion, which is my guided system. 2, get back into the moment. It's all coming from me now. It's all coming back from me now. The giving and receiving is the same place. Get back into the moment. You see, from that moment and recognizing those 2 things are not agreeing, I can now neutralize with a form of allowing. I allow. I've been in a lot of situations in my life where I felt fear or worry or doubt, and I just sit back and relax and allow. I recommend that idea. If I was going to write a book, it would be called Relax and Allow. Relax, allow. Tai Chi Way, relax, allow. Someone touches me in martial arts, I relax and I allow. First thing, first most. It's automatic. Never push, you see. So relax and allow in that moment. Recognize that your goal is not push against it to bring it in, though. To allow it to be a part of you. so it can be healed, so it can come back together with you. So relax and allow, neutralize. And then from there, where's that other perspective? What is it thinking? Well, maybe good. Can you find the good in this? Can you find the joy in this? Can you find the flow in this? Can you find the fun in this? It needs to be one perspective again. One perspective going out, one perspective coming back from many, many different forms. Can you feel that? One perspective going out, one perspective coming back from many, many different forms that tend to move and flow together like a machine as a synchronicity in order to move your life. That's the key to this. Individuated consciousness of God going out and coming back in a million different forms, but still one perspective to create a synchronicity in order to move and flow your life in a good way. Good, holy, connected, whole, and beautiful. That's all there is. That which has no opposite. That's the truth. So we move back into that place. How do I want to feel? How can I bring this back together? How can I find something positive in this? Bashar says, it doesn't matter what comes back to you. Find the positivity in it. Just find something positive. Don't move in a place of missing or negativity. I'm going to find something positive in this. You see, step 3. Or step, we can call that step 4, right? Step 1, notice the differences between the two. Step 2, neutralize it through allowing. Step 3, I'm going to find the positivity in this. And then, of course, step 4, as you move in the direction of the positivity, you're no longer moving in the direction of that ego consciousness. You're recognizing you need to put it all through one perspective so it can come back to you in one perspective, one way of good, positive flow, regardless of what the form is. Then, of course, the last part is to forgive the form. You have to forgive our creations out there because we're the one giving the meaning and we're the one receiving it back. You see, forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. And forgiveness is just simply, as Abraham would say, she calls it pivot. Yeshua calls it forgiveness. It's just simply recognizing, oh, I'm coming to the veil of the ego. I can't get there from there. I need to allow, neutralize, let go, and move in a different direction. And then from that perspective, I mean, that's what happens when it comes back to you. When you feel that negative emotion come back to you, use these 4 steps. Bam. And then now you can start setting your intention on purpose. I'm going to go out today and I'm going to intend to see only that which is good, only that which is holy and connected and flowing, only that which is beautiful. Try that. Walk around the world and say, I'm only going to see the beauty. Watch what happens. You'll see. This synchronicity wants to flow on. Everything will show you beauty. Everything will show you goodness. I'm going to find that which is flowing. I'm going to find that which is happy. I'm going to find that which is joyful. And then just ignore. And I'm not lying to you. We have to learn to ignore the other part, the darkness. Ignore it. There's no source of it. And that is the only way to stop moving our perspective from one beautiful perspective into many, many, many different perspectives that are separated. Instead of one beautiful perspective that's coming from many, many, many different forms that are still reflecting back that perspective. So use those 4. I recommend that. I give that gift to you. Of course, it's up to you what you receive of it. And then set your intention in the moment. Look for the good, as Jason Mraz would say in his songs. Look for the good. Ignore everything else. When it comes into you from that perspective, use the 4 that we talked about to let go of them. Dismiss them. Don't study your ego. Don't study that which you are not. Move in the direction of what you are and let that be everything. I hope this helps. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for being an individuated perspective of God itself. Wow. God in action. Each one of you. You are magical indeed. Indeed here. What a wonderful journey this all is. The universe getting to know itself. As always, it's up to you what you receive from these videos. And hit the like button if you like it. And keep subscribing. And as always, my unconditional love and appreciation to each one of you, my brothers and sisters.